Hello and welcome back to a very wild and windy Chesil beach. I am back down Abbotsbury after one thing today, cod. We've got the perfect conditions. We've just had a named storm run through the country over the last few days, and it's that perfect time where we're about a day or so after that big storm, but there's still some strong onshore winds that are blowing up onto the beach, churning the water up, and yeah, it feels coddy. Now I said I wouldn't be back here until later in September, later in the month, when I'm back down here for 3 days fishing. We've got accommodation with me and 3 of my friends down at Codling Beach, and we're going to be fishing that mark, Abbotsbury, and maybe some others for 3 days solid. However, with these conditions, it was written off to go on the boat this weekend because of these winds, and it seems to be a pattern within me now that whenever the winds are too strong for me to get out on the boat, I'm back down Chesil. And I am enjoying it here, it's been good to me. Now, before we get into the fishing, I do have to put out there a massive thank you. The channel has just hit 500 subscribers. So a huge thank you to everyone that's been very supportive of the content I've been putting out there. I appreciate it. That's not a massive number, it's not some glitzy, glamoury number, but it is a really big milestone, and I've had the channel now just for over a year, or a year and a half or so. And yeah, a huge thank you to everyone that has commented, that has subscribed, and is enjoying the content that I put out there. Now, of course, I do want to see that number continue. So if you are new here, if you haven't subscribed, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe right now. What I'm going to suggest is watch this video. If you enjoy it, if you can tolerate me, and if you enjoy the content, if you get something out of it, then please, if you feel inclined to, do subscribe, as it does really support my channel. Anyone that does ask for a subscription, it genuinely helps their content to be pushed to more of a YouTube, to more of an audience. Bigger community can grow, and the more successful the channel can be. So if you like the content, then do please subscribe. We've got a lot of big trips coming up. I'm actually going to be in Cornwall next week. Hopefully when this wind calms down, we'll be back on the boat doing some more shark fishing, some tote fishing, maybe even to target some of the poor beagles and the blue sharks, and lots of other fishing that we've got. So much. The fishing is really good at the moment, I'm finding, so I'm going to be making the most of it while I can before the weather kind of gets to winter really and it becomes a bit miserable. And then I'll still fish actually, like I did all this winter. Anyway, on with the fishing. So, as I say, I am down here for one reason and one reason only, and that is codling. I've got a ton of worm baits. I went down to Poole Harbour last night and dug loads of fresh rag and fresh lugworm, which I brought down with me. We've got some squid as well, so we can tip the baits, and maybe later on we'll chuck out some squid baits. But yeah, we're here to fish, that's for sure. So in terms of conditions, as I say, we've had a storm roll through over the last few days, and we've got a lovely big sea at the moment. There's some big rollers coming in. I mean, some of the waves crashing onto the beach, you're talking 10 foot high nearly. But it's still fishable as well. The winds aren't that strong, but it's unfishable. If you saw my video from New Year's Day at the start of the year, that was difficult, and I walked away with just one solitary dogfish. Luckily that dogfish meant I've never blanked on Chesil yet. I'm not going to say yet, I've never blanked on Chesil and never intend to. Oh, I just had a massive pull down. So anyway, the fishing seems on. It seems really fishy. I said that last time and we got the fish. This time it seems very fishy. So anyway, I'm going to concentrate on this, get both rods back on and see if we can't find a fish. Wow, with it being very cloudy water and churned up, the one thing that I think we're going to need to try and escape today are going to be these guys, the dogfish. But it is our first fish and we're off the mark. There we go. Right, we'll chuck him back, get rebaited, try and find something else other than this. Wow, never nice to see a fish washed up on the beach like that. It looks pretty fresh, so I'm guessing it's something that might have been caught over the last few days. And I'm hoping, well, I don't know what happened to it. It looks like the birds have already got to it a little bit, and no doubt the foxes will clean it up over the next couple of days. But it's probably been caught, maybe, and then struggled to get back in the water and been washed up in some of the storms back onto the high tide line. But it's always worth, with any fish, just making sure it goes back in the water fine, but definitely with shark species. They tend to have, bull husk. I think that is a bull husk, by the way, looking at the little nasal flaps, but I don't want to get too close and handle it, obviously, because it's kind of starting to rot a bit. But yeah, any kind of the smooth hounds, dogfish, bull husk, any of the shark species, they have a tendency to kind of turn back round and try and swim back up the shore. So it's always worth double checking when you release one to make sure it hasn't. Oh well, it's it will feed the birds, feed the foxes, and I guess it's a circle of life. I just hope it isn't caused by kind of human intervention really, and it's just a wasted fish that hasn't been handled properly, but there we go, who knows. Right guys, well, we came out here for one thing and one thing only. And with about an hour of fishing, we're into our first little codling. Made up with that, I spent all winter on the boat, round the Solent, round my local marsh, trying to find these guys. And who knew? All I had to do was come to Chesil. None of that faff around on a boat. Made up with that, so happy. Fingers crossed we can find some more. This guy, so the legal keeping size for cod in my area as well, and I think around most of the UK, is 35 centimetres. This guy measures at 48, so, and he's quite tubby as well for his size. So I'm going to keep this guy, have some fish and chips later on, but hopefully we can get into some more. Let's go guys. In terms of the rig I've used to catch that guy, it was on a pulley pennel setup with a single quite large ragworm and a very small bit of squid tipped on the end of it. Cast out just beyond the breaking waves, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 yards, around that mark, not far out at all. And yeah, we're into him. I love this place. So I wanted to travel light today, so I've not brought any of my cooking stuff, but if you ever do come to Abbotsbury to fish, or even just to kind of come check it out, walk on the beach, whatever, definitely worth visiting the little cafe next to the car park if you haven't already. Picks up a lovely coffee and some chips. They've gone stone cold now because I've taken ages to eat them, but lovely staff and actually really nice food, so definitely worth the visit. Right, well, we did say that it would be probably a little bit of fishing through some of these dogfish, but I don't mind. If every other one's a codling, then I'm happy to do that, and I've got the bait to do it. But third fish of the day is another little dogfish. Nothing special. To be fair, we are coming to the bottom of the tide. In fact, I think we've just gone past the bottom of the ebb. So we're going to fish the flood back up now till about, I don't know, 10 PM this evening, and see how we do that. So we don't know, maybe the codling will pick up, maybe they'll disappear, we'll find out. Typically my plan today was to fish kind of 2 hours before the bottom of the tide and about 3-4 hours up. So kind of going to plan at the moment. Fingers crossed though, the bites pick up and the dogfish move on. Anyway, let's get them back. Definitely a fish a cast now. I went down to the bottom to put that dogfish back, came back up to the other rod with another one. So yeah, I think we're dog fishing at the moment is the key to it, but we're catching. As I say, my lines are in for about 2-3 minutes at a time, and honestly there's a fish on it already. So I've got 2 rods out of the water at the moment, so we'll get this guy back in and then we will have our boat we will get our lines back in and hopefully be fishing 2 rods at the same time. But as I say, hopefully once this tide picks back up again, the dogfish bites will calm down and we can get into some other species and more codling. As I say, more codling. So this basically, guys, is the setup that I caught that little codling on earlier. I'm just preparing this new one. I put one fresh ragworm, this is my pulley pennel setup. I put a fresh ragworm on, but I don't take the old bait off. I kind of bunch it up so it becomes a bigger and bigger kind of rag sausage as I go. I don't really obviously want to waste bait, and it's still good rag. But what I'm going to do, I've just put a little bit of squid on there, which offers a little bit of obviously attraction. It will flutter, and also quite importantly, it will keep the ragworm from slipping off the end of the hook. So that's what's doing it for me today. So I'm going to just bind this up a little bit, very lightly. Whenever you're kind of binding up or using your bait elastic on worm, I would suggest doing it quite lightly. It will dig into the worm and kind of cut it up otherwise. So I'm going to lightly bind this up so it stays together. Sort out that top pennel hook, which you can see there, so it's nice and proud. That one will sit nicely. Hopefully it'll get me some more codling. Well, you know what we were saying about shark species often needing a bit of a helping hand to get back into the water. So they often turn around, especially in swell like this. That little dogfish we just let go. There he is. He's managed to get pushed back up on the shore and his beach. So if I left him there, he's going to bake in that sun. So he's not going to last very long. So we'll get back down to the beach and we'll sort him out. Come on you do not want to be there. Right, I'm going to have to give him a bit of a fling. It won't look nice, but hopefully we'll get through this. I'm going to wait down here for a little bit, make sure he does try and get out. I mean, any fish is going to struggle to swim back out through that wave, through that tide. But he looks to be gone, but I'll keep an eye out down here. Sometimes you'll find they'll wash up a little bit down the shore, so wherever you're fishing, it's just worth keeping an eye along the beach line, just in case. Well, if you're interested whereabouts on Abbotsbury I'm fishing, right above my shoulder there you'll see the Dragon's Teeth. So I am just west of the Dragon's Teeth by, I don't know, what's that, 30-40 metres to the side of them. Well, quite honestly, I feel you can catch good fish anywhere along Abbotsbury. However, with that being said, reminds me of a point I did actually want to make, which might help some people out. I know a lot of boat fishermen use Navionics, the boating app, for marks, for guidance, for terrain, that kind of stuff. But I know less shore fishermen probably use it. But I honestly would suggest downloading it, even if you are a shore fisherman and you don't have access to a boat. Because still, it will really give you good detail of just the terrain that you're looking to fish, where the deeper marks start to creep in. You can see along Chesil where there's rocks, potential snags, even some wrecks that are within casting distance for maybe some of the more gifted casters among us. But it's just really good information to kind of like check out some of the local marks that might be around you, or even if you're traveling to a new mark and you don't know the area, then Navionics, if you don't already use it, I know there's a lot of people out there that probably do, and I don't want to sound like I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak, but you might find it useful if you don't already use it. I think there is a free web app you can use, although I do suggest I think it's about £40–50 a year to get the app and the full access on your phone. And there's a wealth of knowledge about the terrain that you will be looking to fish. Just had an absolutely cracking bite on the pulley panel rig. The rod just bowed right over and lifted into it, felt something pull, and then it just went loose. And the bait has been completely mushed, so that has been in something's mouth. Could have been a great big cod, who knows? Damn. Anyway, as I keep saying, let's get it rebaited and back out there. It is a conveyor belt of fish, people. I love Chesil. I love fishing Chesil. It's we come out here to have fun and to enjoy ourselves. I'm not here for a job or anything like that. I'm just out here to have fun, and Chesil always delivers for me. Yes, it can fish poorly. Anywhere can fish poorly. No is a guarantee when it comes to fishing. But God, I love Chesil, and it's just a beautiful, powerful, amazing place to be. And it reminds me why fishing is just so much fun. But another fish for the day, and a new species this time. A tiny little strap conger. I know most people are a bit annoyed to see these, but I'm not. I think they're amazing little creatures. Look at them. Again, it's a ragworm tipped with squid. So 3 different species for the day. And yeah, I love it. Amazing. These conditions can make for some amazing fishing. This kind of really powerful, stormy, charged up ocean. It just gets the fish on the feed, I find. I could only think if I was able to get out on a boat in these conditions what the fishing would be like, but obviously when it's this rough I can't, especially on my little my boat Nacho, which definitely cannot handle this kind of seas, but Sundancer, although it's more of a fishing boat, still definitely can't handle this kind of sea. But yeah, I absolutely love it. Right, I've just released that eel, the little strap eel, which has got yuckiness all over my hands, and I've come back up, and I don't know if you can see that rod. There's definitely a fish there. This is a bullhuss. Take my shades off. Oh, and he's just vomiting everywhere. Now obviously, for those again that don't know, I apologise if I'm preaching to the choir here, but I appreciate not everyone would have caught one of these before. So, if you haven't, they're really easy to mistake for dogfish. But there's a couple kind of ways you can tell. One of them being, I often find bullhuss, I might be wrong with this, but I find they're a lot more aggressive than dogfish are. And these, do you see the little nasal flaps? They're quite protruded, quite, you know, they stick out. They're a lot more noticeable than you get on dogfish. Dogfish don't have those little flaps. Right there, I'm hoping that's focusing well. So a bullhuss will always have those. A bullhuss typically has a broader head as well. So this section here, oh, he's throwing up all over me. That's something both dogfish and bullhuss do. But yeah, bullhuss have a slightly wider head. They're a bit thicker, stockier looking fish. So that's how you can tell. There's also, bullhuss typically tend to have more dots and sometimes can be a little bit lighter. But again, I think depending on where they are, whether it's sandy ground, reefy ground, they can also be lighter and darker. So colour doesn't normally help you determine what type of fish it is. But there we go. So that is what are we on now? Conger, or strap conger, bullhuss, dogfish, codling. That's it, 4 species, and I don't know how many total fish, but yeah, awesome. Dogfish number 3,792. I still haven't had a chance to eat my ships yet. I bought them about 3 hours ago. Well, let's go. So, bit of an update. I was feeling a little bit frustrated. Had a cracking bite, and I feel it was a conger that has managed to ruin my rig, and I lost him as well. I didn't manage to reel him in. However, I sat there, kind of just grumpily picking it apart, debating: shall I just cut it off and retie everything, or should I try and unpick it, whatever? And my other rod has just gone off, and we have got another stunning codling. This one's measuring in at 52 centimeters, so it's a little bit bigger than the other one. And he's tons of meat on him. For the size of them, they're really quite stocky fish. Amazing. There's 2 codling down, plus all the other fish that we've had. Get it. Here we go. Your eyes do not deceive you, that is not a mini cod. I caught a little pouting. But another one for the species list. We're up to, I think, what, 5 now? So, cool. As darkness is starting to set, I mean, we're at 7:30 now, so it's quite cloudy and quite overcast, so there's not much light left in the on the horizon anyway. But it's definitely started bringing the pouting onto the feed, which is not ideal. I don't really want to get too plagued by pouting. Obviously, you know, we had dogfish earlier, but still fish, still catching. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. We've got about 8:30, 9:30, probably 3 hours left to fish him until I'm going to be packing up and leaving on the slack high tide. So there's still time. The bites have slowed down just about enough for me to start kind of getting my house in order after being here for what, 4 hours or whatever it's been. And obviously, yeah, we've had plenty of fish. It's been really, really good fishing, 4 different species. So we've got about another 4 hours until the top of the tide. So the tide is on the flood, and my intention was to fish until about 10:30 this evening, which is the top of the tide. So I've got plenty of bait to go for that. Fingers crossed, obviously the bite started to pick up, and hopefully we see more codling, but I'm still buzzing that we've had the one. You know, if we can tick off more species that we haven't caught today, then that'd be ideal. So yeah, more fish please on the menu would be nice. But lots of other people now are starting to turn up. It is a Friday evening on a bank holiday weekend. Monday is the bank holiday. I managed to get down here a little bit earlier because I've got the day off and I've got the whole of next week off for my Cornwall trip. But yeah, good to see lots of anglers out, lots of people enjoying the beach. There's a gentleman in front of me I can see, he's got looks like his family out down with him, a few kids, and I think I'm assuming there's a wife there as well. But it's just, yeah, real nice to see. They've all got kind of some rods between them, must have like 6-7 rods. And yeah, I'm sure they'll have a whale of a time, and hopefully they get into the fish too. So, another little dogfish. Now, obviously it doesn't help that I don't have the other one here to compare to, but if you look how it doesn't have as pronounced kind of nasal flaps as the bullhuss did, and again it's hard to compare because you don't have the two side by side, but this one doesn't have as stockier, kind of wider head. It's a little bit more aligned, streamlined. But yeah, there we go, fish number, lost count. I love it when a plan comes together. And, oh, bloody hell. Another beautiful, chunky little codling. This one measuring about 45 centimetres. Yeah, absolutely chuffed. I was just so keen to get into the codling today, and I'm absolutely buzzing that the conditions are spot on. The baits, everything's just kind of, you know, all the moons of all the stars have aligned, and it's happening, and it is great. This guy, you can tell when you've got a cod on, they give a great account for themselves. Absolutely hooped over when the bite hit, and yeah, fought all the way in. So fantastic fishing. Let's keep going. We've still got a few more hours until the top of the tide, until I plan to pack up. I think about 2 hours. So yeah, still more fish to be caught. Well, Chesil is fishing its absolute off. I think you know what I mean. Another codling. This one's in at about 46 centimetres. They've all been around that mark, kind of between 45 and I think the biggest was what, 50 something, 53 odd or something like that. So they've all been around that size, but have been fantastic sport, and it's just, they seem to be here in numbers. As I say, 4 codling now we've had today, plus all the other species. Obviously we've had bullhuss, dogfish, and the conger as well, the little strap conger. Oh, and the pouting, actually, yeah, make it 5. So yeah, awesome. Now I've actually just brought the tent up and all my gear just a little bit away from the shoreline there, because we're getting close to high tide. And although I'm probably just about safe where I was, it's a fairly big tide today, and there's obviously a lot of onshore wind, which is pushing that swell up the beach. So I don't want a rogue wave to come and kind of swamp my gear and of course myself. So I've brought the gear up a little bit. I can still see the tip lights. We've got the lights on now, so we can see a little bit in the darkness, and we'll continue to fish. We've still got about an hour and a half left. I don't want it to stop though. Well, we've got to the top of the tide. It's getting late into the evening, and it is time for me to pack up and start heading home. What a session it's been. We've had obviously 4 codling, we've had bullhuss, we've had dogfish, we have had eels. It has been a really fantastic session, and yeah, the codling is just really cherry on the ice on the top of the cake. As I said at the start of the video, if you have watched this video and you are new to here and you've enjoyed the video, you've liked the content, you've liked some of the fishing that I've done and what obviously we've been up to, then do please subscribe. I'm on the road to 1,000 now. That's the next milestone for my channel, which would be fantastic if I can get there by the end of the year. But anyway, thank you for watching, regardless if you liked it or not. I'll see you all in the next one.